Hey guys, welcome to another unboxing video here on Nerd of the Rings. Today we've got a very exciting piece. We're gonna unbox the Helm of King Théoden. Now, as far as the movies go, Théoden is definitely one of my favorite characters. He's got some of the best lines, got some of the best action, and some of the most compelling story around him. And as you saw in a previous video, I've got the Helm of Éomer here to compare it to. We'll also get out Théoden's sword and see how these pair together. But first, let's get this thing unboxed. Turns out, it's a box within a box. If there's another one inside of this, I swear, that'd be an awesome prank. Okay, now I see foam. That's a good sign. All right, and here it looks like we've got the information page on the Helm of Théoden. Just looking at it on here makes me even more pumped to open this thing. Oh, and then inside we've got the certificate of authenticity. We'll take a look at that after we get this thing opened. All right. Let's open this thing up. Hopefully I've got it right side up or else this is gonna look really silly. Oh my gosh. Look at that thing. Holy smokes. Oh, I love this helmet. Oh my gosh, this is so cool. Oh my gosh. Oh, it's padded on the inside too. Nice. Oh my gosh, look at that thing. Reminds me a bit of a new baseball glove. Got that leather smell. Yeah. I don't know if this is gonna fit my head. Oh, I don't think it's gonna fit. Oh man. I'm a little bummed it doesn't fit my head. Man, the detail on this one is just insane. This is seriously one of my absolute favorite helmets from the films. So many iconic moments with this helmet on. So yeah, on the inside you can see it's padded. Unfortunately, my head is too big. My baseball cap size is 7 3/8. If you're into baseball caps, I'll have to look up and see how many inches that is. But this was definitely too tiny. It looks like just this part here was too small. I don't. My head might fit up higher, but the sides was a little too tight. I'm afraid if I got it on, then I wouldn't be able to get it off. All right, let's check out the base here. If you remember when I unboxed the Éomer helm, I was quite impressed with the base. I think it adds a whole nother level of the display quality to have a base that mimics the armor, and this is no exception. This looks really good. A little bit different color scheme than Éomer's. See, we have Éomer here. His has got more red to it. Théoden's more brown. As we put the helmet on here, look at that. Man, that looks really sharp. Then I usually try to get the straps out of the way so they're not hanging out the front. Man, looking at this side by side with the Éomer's though, that is a dynamite combination. And of course, like Éomer's, the base has the nameplate, says the Helm of King Théoden with the number, so you know which number replica you got. And of course, we do get the certificate of authenticity. It's kind of nice. This one came flat instead of rolled up, so we didn't have to mess with it quite as much, but it's got a nice piece of concept art up here in the corner of King Théoden. And this piece of concept art seems a bit more inspired by the books, as he looks a bit older, definitely has a white beard there, so he seems a little bit more in line with what we might expect from the books. Bernard Hill is a little bit younger than what we kind of get hinted at, though I'm not complaining about Bernard Hill because the dude crushed it as Théoden. And on the Certificate of Authenticity, we read a bit about Théoden himself. Théoden was the noble and courageous king of Rohan and lord of the Riddermark. Once freed of the corrupting influence of Saruman by Gandalf the White in Edoras, Théoden regained his strength, and his great sword, Hergrim, was once more returned to his grasp. After leading his people to victory against the Uruk-hai in the Battle of Helm's Deep despite overwhelming odds, he rallied his forces and in the defense of Gondor to protect the White City of Minas Tirith and the hope of all Middle-earth. He bravely fought against the forces of Mordor on the Pelennor Fields, skillfully wielding his sword. He was mortally wounded when he came against the Witch King of Angmar, leader of the 9 Ringwraiths. He was protected by his niece Éowyn, who slew the Witch King, but Théoden perished from his wounds on the Pelennor Fields. And as usual with these Rohirrim pieces, as I've said before, it goes on to talk about the Rohirrim themselves and how their culture was very much based on the breeding and trading of horses, and so a lot of that iconography comes into these pieces. It also says, Théoden's armor and weapons were the finest in Rohan and elaborately decorated. He wielded a royal sword called Hergrim, which he used to slay many orcs and uruks in the Battle of the Hornburg and the Battle of the Pelennor Fields. His steel helm was ornately engraved and enameled, featuring a horse head crest. The surface was highly decorated with sun and horse motifs of bronze and copper. The leather neck guard was embossed with Rohirric designs. And then, as usual, it also goes on to talk about how this is a replica based on the original Weta Workshop designs for the Lord of the Rings films. And for those curious about what materials this replica is made of, it says the helm is crafted of reinforced polyresin and genuine leather, with precisely molded details and coloring. It is presented with a polystone and wood display, sculpted in the shape of Théoden's neck and shoulder armor. And then, as we know, it includes the Certificate of Authenticity and the numbered badge on the front. So obviously, watching the films, the most noticeable horse iconography is here at the top of the helmet, but now, having read about the creation of this and seeing it up close and having a chance to really look at it, you can also see there's some horse iconography on the side, as well as it mentioned a sun motif. And so we get on the sides here, we get kind of the outline of the sun a bit. And then also more noticeable, we've got some red and green accents, and I noticed on the back as well, we've got little gems of red and green. And then on the back, we also read that there's some Rohirric design patterns across the back on the leather. And I just noticed across the back, which I don't know if we ever see the back of Théoden's armor, but we've got kind of 2 horses with their heads together, very reminiscent of his sword, which we'll get out here and put it up next to the helm. So here we can see the similarity between Théoden's sword and a little bit different pose, but very similar to what's on the back of his armor. And we even have kind of these fake straps that would have held his back and front pieces of armor together. Obviously, a lot of care and detail has gone into creating this helm. All right, and for those interested to see side by side with Théoden's sword, this is also made by United Cutlery, the sword Hergrim, Théoden's sword, which has incidentally always been one of my favorites, and his helmet likewise has been one of my favorites. The colors of the leather seem to go really well together. The color of the metal on the hilt is a little bit more muted of a gold color. I don't know if that comes across well on camera or not, but you can definitely tell that there's a bit more vibrance to the gold that's in the helmet. Well, there you have it, guys, the Helm of King Theoden. As you can imagine, if you've been around the channel for a while, I am a huge fan of this helmet. And while I'm a little bummed that it wouldn't fit on my fat head, I am really glad to have added this to my collection, and it's gonna get a place of special honor back in the corner there, so it can be seen by everyone on the live streams. I'm gonna do some rearranging here in the Nerd Cave so that this can be shown off properly. It's obviously a really nice piece and has a lot of detail and intricate design work to it. And I really hope that United Cutlery keeps doing these base plates like this with the armor for future helmet releases that they may do, because I am a huge fan of this. Nothing against my normal base plate that I've got for my Gimli helmet, but man, this armor base plate just looks so much better and just elevates the whole piece in a really cool way. And of course, I want to say a special thanks to United Cutlery, who sent me this gorgeous helm so that I could share it with you guys today and give you all a nice up-close look at King Theoden's helm. And be sure to go to the link in the description. It'll take you straight to their budk.com store, where you can check out the Helm of King Theoden for yourself. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time on Nerd of the Rings. I'm gonna try again. If my head was just a little bit smaller, if I get this on, it will not come off. But man, I could get some cool pictures with Theoden's helm. Feral deeds awake. If this was a cartoon, I'd get a running start and slam my head into the wall and pop on. If I'm wearing this on the next live stream, you know it's because I got it on and cannot get it off.